Hey, how's it going, everyone? Just back again with another. I don't even want to say this is a lesson. This is just sort of like a free form brain dump. Just stuff that I've been thinking about. Um, I don't know, actually, possibly even throughout my entire life in some way or another. But and this is not meant to discourage people from reading the Bible, but it may come across that way, and that's not what I want. But I want to speak about how there are many, many times where I find reading the Bible kind of boring, and I think that's okay. Again, this is not my objective is not to discourage people from who are in it, and fervent, because I mean it's coming true right before our very eyes, and that's the aspect that I want to focus on with this sort of brain dump is that. And again, I want to word this very, very carefully, but for people who know my channel and me, I don't really hold back at all, and less, as the days go by. But that maybe this will be relevant to one, two people out there or something that can relate to this kind of thing. And so the way I am in general is that I get excited about learning things, and then when I learn them and understand them, then I just like to move on to something else, and that's just the way I am, just in life. And I suspect that we're all wired like that, whether we know it or not, and then to different levels and then different things that we're interested in. And some, more complex than others, but they're all still learning, and they're all interesting for that person. Okay. And so, like a physicist, a very, very advanced physicist or statistician or mathematician will be interested in things that we maybe can't understand, and all that kind of stuff. But, we have our own, like mine would be golf and all this kind of stuff. So, and then certainly the end times, and that kind of thing. But I don't know, it's kind of like, I think this is the aspect where I would say it's okay, because the Bible is a book that now I think a lot of us realize is the scriptures, the script for our reality, our current reality, our near future, and then history. And the Bible says in Job 9:24, the earth is given into the hands of the wicked. And then that transfer of power is described really everywhere in the Bible, actually, but in a lesson that I did recently on Revelation 6, where it's going to be, essentially destructive forces, that are going to be in charge, and not ones that are to build up, and to give life, and like increase knowledge, and wisdom. Knowledge will be increased, but not wisdom, and like knowledge of God, and then the way God is, it'll be in fact the very opposite of that. So Christ brings life, and then the opposite of that is death. And so basically the Bible, its quote job is to narrate what's going on, be a historical document, and most importantly, I would say, be a prophetic book. But the issue with that we all see, I think now very clearly, is that the earth is run by evil people. And so the book is narrating a reality and a history and a future of the earth being run by evil people. Okay. And they're not going to be about like, creativity, and learning and advancement of, whatever, knowledge and even just awareness of where we are, and all that kind of stuff. And they're not going to like, inspire that kind of thing, certainly not, make it into like a career, or anything like that. And then that it's not going to be incentivized, is what I'm trying to say, in any way. Okay, that would be against the principles of Job 9:24. So the Bible is in a bit of a pickle, is that it's narrating an evil world. Okay, so for me, when I think of evil, I think of like stupid people. Okay, like obviously there is a tremendous amount of evil, but whenever I hear of somebody, even if I'm watching like a crime show or something, I don't think like, wow, that person's so, that's not the first thought that I have. It's like, I'm like, that person's so stupid. Okay, like they like wanted a woman, and then they just go and like do something sick to her, and I'm like, just for a woman. Okay, like for like one experience, I'm like, that person's an idiot. Okay, and like it doesn't make sense to me, and obviously the sins that I've committed are also stupid, so I'm not saying that I'm above certain things, but whenever I see even something like grotesque, I'm like, that person's an idiot. Okay, like it's just dumb. Okay, and so unfortunately the world is run by evil people. Okay, and that's God doing it. Okay, we know that now. that it was his desire for that to be the case. And so that's what it is. But that does not change the fact that then, from my vantage point, everything is going to be stupid. Okay. And then the Bible is going to describe stupid people, doing things, and then trying to get us to also be stupid. And so that aspect for me, I find the Bible boring, and I just, we get it now. I think like, I understand the sequence. That's what the Bible lays out. And I've proven it to myself, which was, I would say, fun for a little while to do that. But just from my vantage point, it's kind of boring. So I'm not saying that I'm going to like stop, sharing videos, but if they do sort of slow down or whatever, just know that that's what's happening, with me. It's not anything, beyond that. And I just do what I feel inspired to do. And if it gets boring, then I'm not interested in it. And that's just the way it is. And so if God would ever be boring, I'll be like, I don't want to be around God. Okay. Obviously, we know that that's not the case. So that's the thing that is amazingly unique about the Bible, is that Christ says he's the way, the truth, and the life. Okay. And for me, when I feel like I'm alive is when I'm learning. Okay. A lot of other people, when they think that they're alive, they may be like, oh, I'm traveling, or I'm playing an instrument, or whatever that is for that person. For me, it's when I'm learning. It's something new. And not just learning it, but then I get to actually like experience it, and like verify it, sort of thing, in real life. And so that's very, very important for me. A lot of people are just into theoretical things, like theoretical physics and theoretical everything, all the different branches of theoretical whatever that don't necessarily need to be substantiated or like proven, in the physical world yet. But for me, that is interesting, and I understand why people are into that. But for me, it's very much like learning and then the practicalities of like seeing it. Okay. And so that's the amazing thing that Christ describes himself as. And so his definition of life would just not be one thing. Oh, no, I didn't mean that kind of life. Sorry, try another God kind of thing. When Christ is talking about life, he's talking about life the way he's made us, like the way that we've been made by God. And so he would understand, what we're crying out for all the different people who desire life to be whatever, learning something, or playing an instrument, or whatever that person, or like just viewing God's creation, or whatever, all the different ways that people feel alive, traveling and all that kind of stuff, or, meeting new people or whatever and all that. So for me, primarily it's learning new things and, seeing those things, like experiencing them, and verifying them, I guess you could say that. So there really is no room for that in the world that we live in, and we see that. So, and then the Bible predicts that, which is good. But then now, unfortunately, the Bible then becomes a book that narrates boredom. Okay, and like evil, for people who want to word it that way. And so the Bible, for me personally, is becoming kind of boring, to read and stuff. So I still read it occasionally. I would say at this point, I'm pretty much just verifying the quote unquote solution. But even that, it's just kind of like not really that interesting, for me anymore. So there's no real point to this lesson. I just realized that officially now. I'm just sort of rambling. But Ezekiel 2:10, and he spread it before me, and it was written within and without, and there was written there in lamentations and mourning and woe. Okay. And so this is describing a roll of a book and what was inside of it. Okay. Lamentations, mourning, and woe. This is the Bible. Okay. And so this is what a lot of times the prophets have been told to tell other people, is that there's a time coming that's going to involve lamentation, mourning, and woe. And woe is like a form of destruction. And so, that's the position that the Bible's in, and so, and then the whole world is governed by people who are antichrist, who are against Christ. So if you're against Christ, Christ says he's the way, the truth, and the life. So they're going to be against the way to God. So they're going to pick the opposite way. And then they're going to be against the truth. Okay, so they're going to have all lies. And then they're going to be anti-life, okay, which for me is like learning and creativity and all that kind of stuff. And so you may see speckles of that, very little bit here and there, but it certainly will not be commonplace, okay, and that's even like an atheist would admit that kind of thing. So that's where we're at, and so again, I'm not saying this to discourage people to read the Bible and to learn more about it, because there's so much information in there, like it's overwhelming. The numerology is just scratching the surface of the structure that's in the Bible that that has to be from God. Okay. And then there's no way. And there's no way an evil God would put that structure in there. So I'm not trying to discourage anybody who's just devouring it. Okay. First of all, do that, and then please post videos so that I'll learn, and I'll learn something new. So that would help my situation here. So don't stop. Okay. But, for the people out there who find it boring, I don't think that that's wrong all the time, because the book is describing a boring reality, but there's a promise obviously at the end of the kingdom of heaven, and then we're going to have access to God, for those people who are there. And then that's an amazing thing, and so who knows what that would even, where that will look like or feel like, or what that will be. Okay. And so we just know that it can't resemble what's going on now. Okay. Because this world is completely boring, and then any amount of creativity will get stifled immediately. Okay. It won't make it past the truth, the quote truth community. Okay. It will not make it past them. Like, what are you talking about? Okay. And that kind of thing. And so that has to be by design that's the case. I don't even want to call them gatekeepers. That's like a compliment, because they're just stupid people or whatever, but who don't even know how to read and write and all that kind of stuff. And then they're all of a sudden now truthers or whatever. They landed on a flat earth, and then now they have a following. Okay. So if I'm wrong, I'm one of those people. So I'm making fun of myself, but give me a little bit more time. But I don't even want to give them that compliment of being called gatekeepers. They probably can't spell the phrase gatekeeper, if I ask some of them. And so don't worry, not them, like it'll get stifled by them, much less like the layers that are above that and all that kind of stuff. So, that's by design, and guess who would be designing it? The God of the Bible says that he's designed it that way, because the deceived and the deceiver are his, and the deceived and the deceiver make up a majority of this earth, 99.999% of the earth. And then that little 0.0001 is the elect, the 144,000 and the group around them, and then the mixed multitude. Okay. It's like a very, very small group of people. Okay. And so even if we were able to combine them, we'd still look at each other and be like, what are we supposed to do here? Kind of thing. Like, well, what do we do? Okay. Like, we wouldn't know. Okay. And so that's the world that we live in, and then the Bible narrates that perfectly. And so really the only hope for me, I would say at this point, is that, first of all, that the God of the Bible is indeed behind it, because there's so many people that are against him, the way, the truth, and the life, those three phrases. So then they would be against Christ. And then he says he's designed it that way. And then he would have the solution for it. First, to get rid of them who are against him. And then the Bible says, to destroy them that destroy the earth. And then, then have something better in store, where it is actually the way to God, truth, and then life, and all that kind of stuff, where things that are alive, they grow. That's something we know, in the world, just by God's creation, that they would constantly grow. And so if someone is growing constantly and they're in the right direction, the way, the truth, and the life, if you're oriented in the right way, and then you have the truth, and then you are now growing, then you will become closer to God. Okay. And then that's ultimately what we want, because we see that everything going on around here is the opposite of God. And so we're, quote unquote, going in the other direction. Okay. Which is against the way, the truth, and the life. Okay. And so that's what we would want, and then just by common sense, we would think that that's what God would want us to pursue him. And then it would be infinite, and it would be amazing, because we'd be, quote, pursuing an entity that all of this was one of his ideas. Okay. And he could just make a new setup kind of thing, and then a new experience that we would experience through our soul, or whatever you want to call that, our consciousness, and learn new things, and then he could just remix it. Physics and chemistry and biology and all those things are just ideas of God, of the Most High. And so he could just make us learn forever, and that kind of thing. And then it would not stop, and he wouldn't get bored of it, and we wouldn't either, that kind of thing, because again, in Revelation 4:11, it says that all of this for his pleasure. Okay. So God must then be one of the many things that brings him pleasure is seeing people grow. Okay. Because his son is about life, that he said that from his own mouth. So then if we're growing and then he's watching us grow, then it's a win-win situation. Okay. And so that's what I would say at the fundamental level is what I'm longing for, and then we're all longing for, and to do that in a safe environment, which this is not a safe environment at all to even go backwards. Okay. We're an unsafe environment to go against God. Okay. So that's a bad situation. That's 0 for 2 kind of thing. And so that's not good. Okay. So, this was a completely pointless video, but I just wanted to kind of get my point across. And in case it resonates with other people, don't feel like you have to treat the Bible like some kind of test. That's not the way it works. Okay, I know that for a fact. Okay, because God is not the way that our school system is. Okay. If you see me put all these videos up, it's just because I'm bored, okay? Like, it's not giving me any kind of position with God. It's strictly a function of boredom, okay? And all that kind of stuff. And then the reason I do those sequence videos and post 100 of them is because I'm self-conscious about what I teach. So I don't want to teach a lie. So I'm like racing for the solution to be verified. And I've done that, many times over. So that's sort of put to bed now. But, and sometimes I'm trying to egg people on to help me, but I'm not getting any help, and that's okay. It doesn't matter at this point, but that's why I'm doing that. So, but that's not the way that it works. Okay. Fundamentally, if you're learning, whatever you can take a few verses, you can learn a whole book, you can learn the Apocrypha, you can learn whatever. Okay. But as long as you're learning, and that's exciting for you, then that's great, then that's amazing. Okay. Then God's there because God's about life, which involves things growing and then ultimately moving in his direction. So that's good. Okay. Then we just want that to continue forever. And it doesn't matter what it is, whether it's like the world thinks it's super deep or important or whatever, who cares? Okay. Everything I post on my channel is for me. Okay. For me to demonstrate some amount of learning and growth. Okay. And then if it gets boring, then I need to find something else. Okay. And then that's not wrong because all of this is like a setup that God made. Okay. I didn't come up with this. Okay. And so, and God wouldn't be angry. Oh, you're learning about whatever you're learning about golf or something. God would be like, I'm pissed off at you or whatever. Like, why would God not have God would have no issues with that. You're still learning. Okay. Because God made this earth. Okay. And then you're learning about your body and like physics and like how to maybe help out somebody else play better or whatever. Like, it's all the same stuff, and it's just, I think that all of us want to be able to learn and then do it in a safe place, and then ultimately have those kind of the fruit. The Bible says the fruit that will last. Okay. All the things that we're laboring for people who are in this system, they will not last, especially if we live in America, really the entire world, because this whole earth is going to get burned. And so we want to produce fruit for a righteous leader that will last, okay, forever. And we want to continue to go chase after him, metaphorically. Okay. And then that learning will never stop because God's infinite and infinitely creative. Okay. He has to be because he made all of this. Okay. And then we have an element of infinity because we have a soul, that's inside of us that is not finite. And so God has to be infinite. And then just by that, and then who knows all the other things that he's made and can make and whatever he can do. It's not limited. Okay. Like I said, all these things are just one of his ideas. Okay. And so that's incredible, just to think about. So I just want people to know, like, this is just, again, the way my personality is. Like, I get bored very quickly, and I want people to know that's not wrong. Okay. It's just the world wants you to go and just be a mechanistic robot, okay? And even in the truth community, they want you to just regurgitate the same thing over and over again. And then, okay, well, then you can be a part of the Hebrew Israelite if you regurgitate Esau is the devil, or if you go to the 501c3 and say, oh no, Jebus saved me because I said the prayer. And then you go to this group and the Muslims will say, oh, did you pray however many times they require you to pray? Okay, then you can be a part of that group and all that kind of stuff. None of those people have God, okay? They don't understand God, okay? Because God is about life, and learning, okay? And he made this entire playing field to learn, okay? And he's not going to get angry if you tell him, like, we're not learning anything anymore. In fact, when we ask questions, they're getting mad at us, okay? Like, hey, what's in that thing? They'll get mad at us, okay? And then all that kind of stuff. So that's not the way God is, okay? He does not want people that are stupid, okay? Or anything like that. So, just because the entire world is evil and stupid but that doesn't mean that we have to go along with them. Okay, and this is actually a good verse here in Ezekiel 2. I just read it now. And now, son of man, be not afraid of them, neither be afraid of their words. Though briars and thorns be with thee, and thou dost dwell among scorpions. They're telling us you're going to be among scorpions, okay? Be not afraid of their words, okay? Nor be dismayed at their looks, though they be a rebellious house, okay? They're all reprobates. And thou shalt speak my words unto them, whether they will hear. Sorry, my TV went silent. Or whether they will forbear, for they are most rebellious. Okay, I'll read that again. And thou shalt speak my words unto them. Okay, whether they will hear or whether they will forbear, for they are a most rebellious. Okay, and so the God's like, they're not even gonna understand what you're talking about. What learning? You want to learn and stuff. You want to help other people and all that kind of stuff. What are you talking about? That's the way the world. That's the way even the truth community will react. That's the way a religious cliques will act. Like, what are you talking about? Okay, you want to learn about what? You want to take a break from God and go learn about this? So they're like, what are you talking about? No. Any amount of learning is a way of learning about God, because we're learning about his environment surrounding that he made. And then that's a potential opportunity to glorify him, because then the more we learn, then we can go and help out other people. Okay, hey, I can help you with that. Okay, and then maybe alleviate their burdens. And it doesn't have to always be, oh, I can quote you these many verses. Okay, like, who cares if you can do that? Okay, like, no one's giving any awards in heaven. Oh, I remembered I can quote 100 verses from the Bible. Okay, well, great. Okay, well, excellent. And next, okay, well, what about that? Okay, and that kind of thing. So it's not wrong to talk back to these people. Okay, and just even resist that in ourselves. Okay, no one's getting any like higher position in the kingdom because, oh, I memorized 10 books of the Bible from beginning. Okay, great. So what did you do with that? Okay, did you clarify that for other people? Did you alleviate burdens from them? Did you learn those things yourself? Okay, and then go and practice those in real life, and see how it works, and all that kind of stuff. And then increase the amount of learning, and knowledge that's out there, and wisdom and all that kind of stuff. And because that's where the true learning happens, and all that. And that's where the true benefits of the Bible will really manifest, is when we have all these things that God told us, but then we lean on them, and then we go use them to help other people, to maybe alleviate burdens from them. And then it increases, okay, the glory that God receives, here on earth. And so that's it, and it's becoming clear that, well, first of all, we're not even really allowed to talk about the Bible, and that kind of thing. And the actual people that are genuinely in the Bible, for me, I realize not very many people. Okay. And so this is all sort of contributing to the fact that, to me, at times, I would say sort of regularly lately, reading the Bible is actually kind of boring. And so, if the stuff that I post related to that becomes a bit more infrequent or even drops off, don't be alarmed or anything like that. And not so much for me, like worrying about me, because I'm fine. But like, if that's a feeling you have, that's not wrong, And then I think the cool thing too is that a lot of times, like, when you learn something, like, it literally just cannot make sense. Like, God will just block our brain, because we have to go through some things, and then it'll be, oh, okay, oh, that's where that might be relevant. And this is like, even in like science, in mathematics, we can like read a bunch of things, in school, like if you're an engineer or whatever, and then you won't use that until, like, who knows, maybe never, but like 10 years down the road, you're like, oh shoot, okay, that's what they meant by whatever that thing we were learning. Okay, impedance matching or something like that, because you're designing a circuit where you need to, that comes up or something, and then you're like, oh, okay, and then that kind of thing. So that's the way it is too. So, a lot of times for us, we're like programmed to be like, oh, you got to get through all these kind of things and all that, and then crank it out or whatever. I would resist that, don't worry too much about that. I would say the amazing thing about the Bible is that it's almost the same as just watching it play out in real life. But I think we all know that there's so many actors, like in quote real life, and then we go to the Bible and it explains why there's so many actors, like I read here and everywhere. And so, well, we're like, oh damn, like the only thing at this point we have to look forward to is Christ's second coming, ultimately salvation, and then Christ ruling, where it's not all these rebellious people, and then it's not lamentation, mourning, and woe anymore. It's the opposite of that. It's rejoicing, okay? And it's like being genuinely happy for other people. And then it's not woe with destruction, it's life, and growth, and ultimately getting closer and closer to God. And then that will never stop, okay? Because we cannot be in the presence of God. And that's actually an amazing thing, because then we have to keep getting closer to him. That's actually an amazing thing, that we want that to be the case. And so we can never replace God. That's what I would say is one of the biggest violations. And we can't lie. I would say possibly two of the biggest violations is to lie, because God knows the truth and is the truth. And then is to try and usurp God and replace him. He can deal with a lot of other sins, and then all that, and forgive them, but we can't replace God. So all we can do is pursue God, and then that will never stop. And then God would want that, want that to be the case, because that's the correct way to go, and all that kind of stuff. And that will never be a bad idea, and it will not be boring. Okay. And it will be the safest direction, navigational direction to go all the time. Okay. And then I'm anxious for that, for sure. And so, again, I don't really even know if this necessarily had a point, but, I would say it's okay for people, summarize this, it's okay for people to acknowledge that the world is boring. The Bible narrates the world. Any book that narrates the world is the truth. And we see the Bible doing that. So if we read it and we're like, damn, this is kind of boring, because it's narrating a boring world, an evil world, for other people who would describe it that way, which is also accurate, of course. It's okay to not to call that out and be like, damn, like, when is this going to be over? Kind of thing, this lamentation, mourning, and woe, and this boredom, the way that I would describe it. God would not be offended by that. Okay. He's very aware of the fact that this earth is hell, like I teach, like the Bible says, all 54 references to hell in the Bible say that it's a physical place. So this is it. And so it's going to have those principles, of being against the way, the truth, and the life. So they're going to be against life, and so it's not a shocker to God. Okay. Like, I'm not saying go and, say that rudely to God or whatever, but it's an elephant in the room. Okay. God's not dumb. Okay. Or anything like that. Hey, like, do you mind, like, play dumb in front of me? Like, that's the way Satan is. Okay. Talk in circles, play stupid, and like, just pretend like you like this place. God's like, why are you in hell and saying that you like this place? Like, what's wrong with you? Okay. Like, what else do I have to do to make you start telling me the truth, kind of thing? That's the way God would say, to us, because like, he made the place. Okay. And then he designed us to not want to be here. Okay. If we did, want to be here, then he would have designed us differently. Then we would have had to have been basically a robot, which is God's left-hand side, actually. And so that's not us. Okay. And so just know that, our very design is proof of the things that God would have prepared for people after this age, because we're not designed for this, to be against life, and to like sit around and listen to stupid people like don't want to teach us anything. And then if they do teach us a few things, they charge us, or we're going to download this app and PayPal and whatever the hell they're like, stupid people are charging us money for stupid things. Okay. And so that can't be it. Okay. And I guarantee you that that's not the case for the entity that created all of this. Okay. So take home message. There are aspects of being bored that are righteous. Hope everyone's doing well. Bye.